Yeah, look, it's prayer, water, cocoa. You can jump up on it now, you don't need the pogo. Yeah, we diving off, bitch, we about to splash. All up in the deep end, but we ain't up on a boat though. We gon' stir it up some similar to cake batter. Headed to the top, no skipping steps and no ladder. These questions ain't some shit up on the street. Can't just walk around and put the faith inside myself. Got to work, stop the doubt. Trying to change the world, you better change yourself first. Living my life to the fullest, no round trip ticket on that hearse. I'm a star, so I burst. Entrepreneur, I got merch. Put your back against the wall and I can show you what you worth. We go in, we get deep. TLC the way we creep. Need a mop, need a top, cause where we spilling all the tea. This that prayer water, cocoa, keep me right in it weather. On my way to the promised land, can we get that together? Yeah, look, it's prayer water, cocoa. You can jump up on it now, you don't need the photo. Yeah, we diving out, we about to splash. All of it is deep in, but we ain't up on the boat though. We gon' stir it up some similar to cake batter. Turn out, turn out, turn out. Yes, sir, it's your boy Jalord, man, and it's another episode of Prayer, Water, and Cocoa. Episode 9, as a matter of fact. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We diving in this thing like that boy Michael Phelps, man. No time, no waste. I appreciate y'all. It's so great to be back. I appreciate all the people for listening and, continue to tune in to the show, man. Thank you guys so much. Like I always say, it ain't about me. It's not about me. We do it for you. I hope you guys have been blessed. Hope y'all been doing solid. I had a quality weekend. Had an opportunity out here in Los Angeles to actually perform on a great comedy show. The guy that actually threw it, I want to make sure I'm pronouncing his name correctly. His name is Ryan Radusinovic. He's been doing a lot of shows, actually. It was in Koreatown, kind of an area that's really popular in LA. So it was great to kind of continue to be back out and have a great show. Thank you to all my friends and supporters that, took the opportunity to come out to see your boy. Come fuck around with your boy Juice. Just a little bit of foolery. Just a little bit of foolery on a Friday night. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But it's always good to be out, man, because you want to make sure in some capacity, that you're staying sharp. Like they say, there's no staying the same. I feel like a lot of people just in life and in things, period, feel like, oh, if I set this down for a year or 2 or 6 months or whatever, I'm going to be the same person. No, 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 you're not. You either getting better or you getting worse. Ain't no ifs, ands, or no buts about it. So you got to make sure that you're trying to stay sharp, however you get an opportunity, whether that be, for me through a Zoom comedy show, doing your own thing. So it felt good to be out and, have a great time. And it was so cool too, man, just how things happen. There was this comedian that I had met before and we had never really like spoken, black dude. And we kind of like ran into each other a couple of times. And it was so funny because it was like, I'd almost felt like there was not like a problem or anything, but I just always felt like we, for some reason, maybe didn't have the best, maybe, I guess maybe the best thoughts of each other or something like that. I didn't know. We had both got there early. And, I had an opportunity to kind of talk to him. And, I was just like, what's going on with you? What it do? And we were just kind of talking. And I'd even mentioned to him, man, I kind of thought, I didn't know if there was, some miscommunication or some confusion with us. And he was like, no. So it was great. He was like, I didn't really kind of know either. And it was just great to, really be able to have that type of conversation, because so many times we be in these situations and we mad at somebody, we not talking to somebody. We don't even got a goddamn clue why. You hadn't been talking to so-and-so for 10 years and it'd be something small, that can be handled in a very, very simple conversation. Respect to all the comedians that were on the show. And once again, everybody that took the time to come out to support, you always appreciate it. I got a chance to do a little bit of relaxing as well. I tell you what, I love music. I love music. Music is my first love. And obviously we haven't had a chance, at least not out here, on the West Coast and a lot of places in the United States, to go out and see a live concert, which is a thing that I always used to enjoy and love to do. And I've really, really gotten off on these Tiny Desk concert series that are on YouTube. It's basically, if you're not familiar, I know a lot of people are, but it's a concert series put on by a lot of different artists. NPR, they do this Tiny Desk concert series where it's very, very simplistic. I mean, you're basically just working with like a band. It's a small, intimate setting, and it's cool because you get a chance to kind of see how some of these artists, act. I mean, you got these artists that fill stadiums, but I've watched them and I'm like, damn, they struggling. on the tiny desk with just like a microphone and a couple backup singers in a band. They struggling, and then you've seen some other artists that it was like, maybe you didn't know the quality, of their actual live performance skills, because that's actually the origin of the art. When you talk about acting, when you talk about stand up, when you talk about music, it all started out as far as just somebody being on a stage, doing what it is that they do. Obviously with, more modern times and technology, you can throw a little bit of auto-tune on that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? You can get some backup singers. You can Milli Vanilli that hoe. You can do a lot of foolishness and a lot of shenanigans, to make something sound like a certain type of way. But when you got that live music, man, there's no getting around it. Your talent is going to show, or it's not. I've seen some great artists, man, that I really enjoyed watching. Saw that boy Kirk Franklin. He's actually a gospel artist for anybody not familiar. Saw that boy Kirk Franklin on the Tiny Desk concert series. Let me tell you something. That boy Kirk Franklin was getting down. And it's so funny about Kirk because Kirk got this like modern sauce and this modern swag, his beats. And I was like, what? You know what I'm saying? You could be an atheist and hear that Kirk Franklin come on and start bumping your head. You know what I'm saying? I don't support the message, but the beat go hard. The beat go hard. The beat go stupid. I know it's gangsters getting jumped in to they set by Kirk Franklin. Throw on that stomp. Let's see if this nigga's real. Put that stomp on. Crazy, bruh. That thing was jamming, though, man. He had a phenomenal concert. And Kirk, this is what he does. Past the live musician, this ain't nothing for him to do, man. So I enjoyed it. And I highly, highly encourage anybody, man, that's, a lover of music, to check out the Tiny Desk concert series that's on YouTube, man. I think you'll enjoy it. But listen, without any further ado, y'all know what time it is. Let's get into the word.
Let's get into the word. Let's get into the word. Wow. Let's get into the word. Fuck what you heard. We give it to you straight. No chaser with no curse. Let's get into the word. Let's get into the word, man.
So this one, man, really had your boy perplexed. We in a new world. We in a new world and we in a new time. You got to be careful. They say you got to be careful what you say. Everybody trying not to step on toes and, you know what I'm saying, doing all that. It's crazy, the culture, in the society that we live in, because, albeit while there's been a lot of advancement and a lot of things, I feel in a lot of instances we've actually gone backwards. You know what I'm saying? We've gotten stupider. There was a big news story. There was a media firestorm over the past week about the fact that the makers of the toy Mr. Potato Head, I believe the parent company is actually called Hasbro. They made an announcement that from now on, Mr. Potato Head will be sold under the gender neutral name of just Potato Head. And people lost their goddamn mind. People lost their damn mind. Y'all shit, Fox News, and was acting a fool, you know what I'm saying? Sean Hannity, Ben Shapiro, them boys was tweeting, upset. And it was crazy because, Mr. Potato Head actually had to come back out and clarify that it was really just the general name, that was changing the name of the company, but they were still going to be designating the Potato Head, because there's a Miss Potato Head too. Let's not forget that. There's a Miss Potato Head as well, so you got to deal with that. So they kind of clarified that we just gonna make the name smaller, and we're trying to separate, but it was really, and they were trying to act like everybody else was confused. It was them. Their CEO or the executive was talking about, hey, we want people to feel more inclusive. Here's the deal. Okay. There's making people feel inclusive, and then there's absolute ignorance and fuckery. That's what y'all have time for? And see, this is the thing, and this is the problem. It's just like during the Black Lives Matter movement, when people all of a sudden started putting up Black Lives Matter capsules, and now there's a Black Lives Matter movie collection and things like that. See, because it's like, you can just smell the fraudulence in it. That's what it is that y'all decide to do. That's ignorant. We're talking about a fantastical toy that I don't even know that nobody even fucking buys no more. But y'all want the Mr. Potato Head to be gender neutral. I'll tell you where you can put your potatoes. All right? I'll tell you where you can put your potatoes right now. These are the things that people want to advance and talk about like they're making real advancement and like they're making real change. While they'll walk past a real gay person or a real transgender and try to treat them some type of way, try to be ignorant with them. You ain't doing nothing. That is foolishness. This motherfucker ain't got no body parts, no reproductive anatomy. We just gonna call him potato head. Hell no. Not me. Not me. You know what I'm saying? You lost your damn mind. And I hate it too because situations like this actually make you, and this is why for me, as far as politics and just current, events and just, whatever issue is going on at the day, I used to I would see things, I would hear about like different examples of, police abuse or, misappropriation of funds by a government official or something going on. And you already make your assumptions due to your prior history and what it is that you think about a situation. But for me, I had to start taking each individual situation by itself. I can't group everybody in the same category. You just can't do it. I may have my general feelings about you, but I try to base as much as I can on the particular situation. And it hurt. It hurt. Your boy ain't gonna lie to you, but I had to agree with Sean Hannity and Bishop, all them boys. This is a goddamn shame, nigga. It's a goddamn shame. If there's a Mr. Potato Head March, I'm going to that motherfucker. I'll tell you right now. I think the title of the article that I actually seen was, Mr. Potato Head canceled. Welcome to socialism. You know what I'm talking about? So I was like, oh, this is too silly, man. Like some stuff just be so ignorant. Let's have a conversation about all these things. We all don't understand. We were all raised differently. There's a lot of new things that are going on. You got to determine how a person wants to be referred to and what they want to be called. And I don't necessarily have a problem doing that. I just need to understand why are you coming from where you're coming from? Why? What is my relationship with you? I don't want to disrespect somebody if they feel a certain way, but some of this shit is foolishness. We gonna call a spade a goddamn spade. We gonna call a spade a spade. That's how we do here on Prayer Water and Cocoa Butter. Turn out. But it's just hilarious to me, man, because cancel culture as we know it, it's become popular over these past several years, but it's really a fraud. It's fraudulent. Like there's nothing really in today's society, at least not in America, that you can really be canceled for. You have all these people that did certain things that people got mad at them about. Lil Wayne. I remember when he had spoke about that he had never seen racism and that he didn't believe in Black Lives Matter. Doja Cat, when she was on the alt-right chat room, and Cardi B, when she had talked about she used to strip and put stuff in people's drinks and rob the dudes. And you got all these examples of people that have done these things. And then it's like a week later, a couple days later, Lil Wayne dropped a new mixtape. Y'all heard that motherfucking The Carter 5? Or y'all heard that Dedication 6? That bitch go hard. And it's like we completely forget about what it was that we were associated with, what we were so angry about. Trump. This hurt Biden. Biden was just calling people super killers. Biden was just calling black people super killers not too long ago. Go do the facts. Go do the history. That's why I'm saying it's just not all about Democrat and Republican. It's not all about just black and white, North and South. It's layers to this shit, nigga. It's levels to this shit. Do your own research. Make your own opinion, not just what your mama and your daddy told you. What you learned at school. Your little lame ass friends who hadn't been nowhere that you used to hang around. Get out. Like we spoke to our last guest, Char Winter, who is an expat living in Portugal, who's been to over 40 countries, 6 continents. Do some traveling, even if it's just, I feel in all honesty, that has been the biggest thing for me that has opened up my mindset. Since I've been a kid, my dad is always like, I remember we had that minivan in the driveway, my God. That was my first car, your boy Jaloid, Plymouth Voyager. Swanging that thing as well, swanging it. But I remember my dad, I used to ask him like, Dad, how come you don't get this car? Or you don't do this? You don't ever want to ride on butter? You don't want to ride candy paint? And he was like, no, son. He said, if I do that, how are we going to be able to travel? I would much rather that you guys had an opportunity to see some different things, see how other people live, have some other experiences before I'm worried about what kind of jacket I got on or what kind of car I got in the driveway. And you don't really understand that as a younger person, but as you get older, you get it. Because I truly feel going around different people, different cultures, different states, different countries, that helped me as a person. It's hard to judge when you're being exposed to things like that. It's hard to stay closed-minded when you go into things like that and you seeing people who don't look like you, who don't speak your language, treating you right. or people who do look like you treating you wrong. You got to get out, and you can't limit yourself, man, or else you'll constantly be in a box. But it's funny how we do with this cancel culture, how we want to pick and decide who's canceled and for why and for how long. But I really don't believe in it. As far as cancel culture is concerned right now, I mean, you can pretty much come back from anything. I mean, like, the only thing that you really can't come back from, I'd say, is like being a rapist, some type of sexual assault, being a child molester. Those are like the only things that you can't recover from. And if you think I'm capping, look it up. You could even kill somebody. I said it. Look at the rap industry. You literally have a lot of rappers who have gotten more famous, gotten more street cred, gotten more props, more opportunities because they killed somebody. People are like, oh my God, oh no, he's not capping in his rap. It's real. In some of these situations, obviously, they had to do what it is that they need to do. Or as far as self-defense is concerned, man, woman, child, you need to handle your business. Somebody trying to approach you in an aggressive manner or take your life or take somebody that's close to your life, it is what it is. It go down, but that's it. These are the only things that you can't recover. You could kill somebody. There are people that have killed somebody, and there's been a reason, or they explained it, or they was drunk driving, or they did this. It was manslaughter. Ted Kennedy. I mean, the list goes on of people who have actually killed somebody. Gucci Mane. The list goes on. So you can recover from that. We've shown. People are fascinated with the hitmen stories and the mafia hitman stories. I can't lie myself. I get into that. ID discovery. We love that stuff. Oh my God. I'm addicted. So cancel culture is a fraud. And I think the thing about cancel culture that we have to be careful with, as quickly as our mindset can change, man, somebody can come at you like that. I remember I was talking to a friend of comedians, and there was this issue about this one comedian. And one of my comedian friends was like, man, I'm not messing with the dude and stuff. And I was like, do you know this person did these things that they talking about? And he was like, well, no, not for sure, but I heard. Because I was like, man, if I heard something like that about you, I don't know if I would just be out here just immediately canceling this person. I need to have a conversation with you first. I need to do my own research before I just go along with the crowd. That's just, personally, that's not the type of person that I am. And I understand that other people are different. Oh, I heard about this. I don't even want to deal with it. And that's cool. But that's why I'm careful who it is that I call a friend, who you call yourself hanging around, who's really loyal. Is somebody going to sell you out and give you up and cut their losses before they even talk to you? And we have a lot of that because people are scared. They ain't got no backbone. They're too worried about being opportunistic. They're too worried about they could lose an opportunity if they don't go along with the crowd. They're not an individual. They're a follower. So there's a lot of that. So you got to be careful. You just got to take your time and make sure you're getting all the facts before we call ourselves canceling somebody. Turn up. Man, I want to give a big shout out to Tiger Woods. I saw that he had, got in a terrible accident. A car accident out here in California. Car rolled over several times. I'd heard, like his legs were either broken or badly crushed. Thankfully, Godfrey was not killed or anything like that or hurt worse, was able to communicate, wasn't impaired. Of course they did. I got to be honest. That's the first thing you think about. Tiger been through a little bit. Tiger likes to pop a perk, every now and again. He's popped a perk before. We're not here to judge. But I wanted to make sure, hopefully it's not that. You're not drinking or anything like that. Thankfully, it wasn't that. When I heard the news, I was like, oh my God. Like, if this is like a Kobe situation, dog, I can't. Like, it's just going to be too much, bro. Like, if the year start off like that, dog, I was like, it's too much. And I'm thankful, man. And it's one of those things that I don't know why, man, things happen like that. Because we'll have to see. Tiger Woods is like, what, 45? Who knows if he already had the back problems and several back surgeries and been in and out, hurt. Even though he was able to win the Masters like last year or the year before, he struggled. And now you're talking about having to go through rehab to repair both of your legs, to try to get back on the circuit, to try to make a comeback. And it's like, I think it's just interesting sometimes the way that life works. Because I feel that when even you don't want to acknowledge some things, sometimes things in your life will happen to make you kind of like, man, think differently. It's like, because with Tiger, I know he was stuck on 82 wins, tied for the most all time, second only to Jack Nicklaus as far as majors are concerned. It's like you keep playing. It's like you've had all these back surgeries, your kids are getting older. You've made more money than any golfer of all time. You know, you're widely thought of as possibly the best golfer to ever pick up a golf club. And it's like sometimes we got to make these decisions about, do I still need to be doing this? And of course, man, I can't tell anybody what to do if you love it. If you're 100 years old and you like to jump rope, I mean, girl, jump rope, girl. Jump rope. I can't tell you, but I just think sometimes when things happen, maybe it's a sign. You know, I thought the same thing about like a Serena. You know, she had another tough loss recently and it was just like, I'm like, man, this has happened like 5-6 times where she's literally gotten to the semifinals or the final and just it all fell apart. You know, sometimes we put too much pressure on ourselves to do something. We trying to impress these other people and we don't even need to be doing that. If that's what you want to do, of course, pursue it. But at the event, you know, of trying to keep impressing other people or doing things and you not even really in it or your heart may not be willing. You know, I know Serena struggled after having the child, postpartum depression, other things. She had struggled getting back. And when I look at her play, it's not her physically. I mean, she's older, she's not as fast, but I think it's primarily what's in her mental. No, so you just got to really think about sometimes, you know, whether or not it's worth it. Sometimes you got to cut your losses. Don't be out here trying to impress other people if your heart isn't in it anymore, or if you're doing it for reasons that are not solely because you want to do it. You know what I'm saying? Prayer, water, and cocoa butter, baby. We want what's best for you. That's all we want. But listen, man, episode 9, thank you guys so much for continuing to support your boy, your Lord, man. I appreciate y'all, man. You know where you can find us. We're on anchor.com. We're on Google. We're on Apple. We're on YouTube. We're on Spotify, Pocket Cast, Breaker Audio, wherever it is that you want to find. Continue to tell people about us. Share. If you got a YouTube clip you like or a quote you like, share. And like I tell everybody, man, on Anchor, our website, you can leave me a voice message. If there's a question you had, something you wanted to talk about, something you wanted to know from Jalord, Prayer, Water, and Cocoa Butter about a guest, leave me a voice message. Send me an email to prayerwaterandcocoabutter@gmail.com. Your boy get back to you. I'll get back to you, you know, no cap. You know, but listen, we got a great edition of All Up in Your Business, but respectfully this time. You know, all up in your business, but respectfully. Now, we got comedian Seth Lawrence, great dude. He's a host of his own podcast, Disorganized Religion, very funny comedian, hosted a couple of different shows and does a few different things that we're going to kind of get into and talk about. And also has a very unique mindset, and I think foundation, which helps him, you know, to be a perfect guest for Prayer, Water, and Cocoa Butter. But listen, man, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, turn up on these motherfuckers out here that ain't supporting you and ain't, you know, following your dreams or whatnot. Do what it is that you came to do, man. Y'all stay blessed. Y'all mess with your boy. It go down. Prayer, Water, and Cocoa Butter, baby. You know what it is, baby. It's Prayer, Water, and Cocoa Butter. Another episode, and we got another segment of All Up in Your Business, but respectfully. All up in your business, but respectfully. Today we are talking to comedian Seth Lawrence, comedian, creator of the Disorganized Religion podcast, host of the Bootleg comedy show, the Next to Godliness comedy show, and a host of other things, as well as being the coolest Mormon that I personally know. Now that's none of your business how many I actually know, but he's the coolest one that I actually know.
That's great.
Man, Seth Lawrence, how you doing, brother? Good to see you.
Dude, thank you so much, Jaloid. It is always a pleasure to see you. I have missed seeing you and a few others, but mostly you over this pandemic. Hey. You are just a bright light. Dark skin, bright light, baby. I love it.
This was always me and Steph's dynamic. Steph would literally thank me for putting him on a show, then proceed to go right up to the mic and say something that everybody in the crowd was like, you know this? You booked him? You booked him? Was it you or DJ Overalls who booked him?
Why is this racist guy up there? What is going on? Look, I want to make this clear for your listeners. I was not at the Capitol on January 6th.
Right, exactly. Okay? I want to start off.
I was home with my 3 wives. They can all tell you.
Right. Too funny,
oh, my
man.
gosh.
Yeah, me and Seth were actually chatting a little bit about our origin, man, how we actually met each other out here in LA. Seth, where are you from?
I'm from Utah.
Okay. How long you been in
LA? Since 2017. So,
okay.
You know,
okay.
Almost 4 years now.
Okay, cool. Okay, good deal.
Yeah.
You've been out here a little bit less than me. Good deal. Okay, but yeah, me and Seth were actually talking about meeting up at this pretty popular club out here in LA by the name of Flappers, a kind of a club that, we were actually just debating about. It kind of has a somewhat mixed review, I would say, about it, mixed reviews about Flappers.
Yeah, it's a
But
nice way to put it.
I think the thing is that we were kind of talking about it gives comedians an opportunity, and I mean that's actually where we met. Seth started coming through to my open mic, that young
Yeah.
comedy mic. And I started frequenting, getting a chance to do some of his shows that he was having in Hollywood, the Bunker, a few other places, Skiptown Playhouse. Anybody that knows comedy knows these locations. But
Yeah.
indeed, but it's so funny too because Seth, Seth will come up, man. Seth will come up to the stage in the sharpest Docker khakis you've ever seen, a
Yeah, baby.
earpiece, sweater, and just kill the crowd. Just kill the crowd.
Sweater.
Refuse every alcoholic drink that I've ever offered him.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I don't know if I killed him or confused him.
Right, exactly.
One of the two. One of the two.
Seth, people was laughing in panic.
Yeah, just be calm. He won't shoot us.
The comedy Unabomber, that boy Seth Lawrence up in here, man.
So my wife and I, met in Utah during our senior year at college. We moved to North Carolina where we both did graduate school. I worked as an attorney out there for about a year and a bit.
Okay.
And on my way home from working at the office, I would, on Tuesdays, drive past Good Nights, which is a club in Raleigh. So we were Tar Heels, UNC, Chapel Hill. I'd always been interested in stand-up, but like my parents were responsible people. So they were like, yeah, that's not a thing. Okay. You don't do that. That's not what you're going to do. So after I got hired as a lawyer, I thought, well, now I should take up a hobby. I'll take up a hobby and I'll check this scene out. So I went there for about a month before they even let me get up on stage.
Wow.
And first time I went up on stage, I was so nervous. One of my good friends was there with me just as moral support. I did not great. I think I got maybe one laugh out of 3 minutes. The rest was just trembling and muttering through something. And that was it. That was my only experience at a club open mic where I was up on stage in Raleigh.
What was the reason for the move to LA? Was that your job, or were you more so considering, hey, I want to kind of more so get more in depth with this career or pursuing this dream of comedy?
Yeah, so my wife did a doctorate in accounting while I was doing law school and then working as an attorney. So she graduated in 2017, that school year, and took a job at USC. And at that point, we already had 2 kids. We knew we were going to have more. Our talk basically was, okay, my wife is going to make enough money to where I don't need to be the responsible stereotypical male of supporting the family because she's got that on lock, right? So then if I don't have to work, do I want to work? And my internal debate was, okay, I can work, but I will basically be working to pay for childcare and taxes. Is it worth it to me to work as a lawyer to just essentially pay things that we wouldn't have to pay if I didn't work?
Wow.
So she knew I was comedically minded. And so she was like, hey, man, if you're interested, I know you've been going to Good Nights. There's clearly still an interest there. I mean, we could go to LA and you could just pursue stand-up. You wouldn't even need to work. So that's what we decided doing. So I stay at home with the kids during the day and then like a superhero go out at night.
What is the feeling that you feel for having a wife that I feel is that I've never been married myself, but that just a girlfriend? I don't know if I didn't had a girlfriend that damn supportive. What is it like to have like a wife that is that supportive? Like, hey, listen, I mean, whatever it is that you're trying to do, this works in conjunction with what it is that I'm doing. Hey, go for it, pursue it. How helpful is that for what it is that you're trying to do?
Yeah, I mean, she's the whole reason that I do what I do, right? I mean, she makes it possible, and she's my biggest supporter. and my biggest critic all at the same time. It's very helpful, you know?
Okay.
But yeah, she's great. What's interesting, I think we both, you know, there will be various times, and I find it shocking that you have never been married or found a woman just willing to bend over backwards for you, Lloyd.
I've had a couple of women who have maybe a couple that have maybe wanted to proceed down there, but I don't think it was the right situation for me. So that I'm always interested when I hear about people who are married, you know, committed to like a long-term relationship, because it's a commitment. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm always intrigued about it, especially when you're kind of having to work together like y'all are doing.
At least for our relationship, we both sort of feel like the other is getting the short end of the stick. There was definitely an adjustment, right? Because when I was working as a lawyer, I didn't really have time to do the cooking, the cleaning. And now that's what I do. I'm Mr. Mom. So there was some transition there. And we definitely have to coordinate schedules and find time for each other, because she's working during the day. And then if I take off every evening, it's like we don't see each other, you know? So there have been some conversations where, you know, it's like I have to also check kind of the bang for the buck. Is it going to be beneficial to do this gig or not, you know? So there's definitely been some discussions where she's like, you know, you gotta kind of tone it back, because I don't see you. And is this worth it? I mean, if you're going to these lottery mics and not going up, what's the point, you know?
Absolutely.
So it's a lot of communication and kind of being open one way or the other. Had to move locations. You talked about that compromise. My wife wanted to run. So
listen.
Out in the garage.
Her world. I'm with it.
For me, it's all about being seen, you know, by the right people and getting a chance to do work in front of a crowd. So whatever's going to let me do one or two or both of those, you know, that's great. That's what I'm after.
Seth, how often before the pandemic were you out? How many mics would you say you would hit on it if you were in a consistent stretch or run? How many shows / mics would you do, I guess, maybe on a weekly or monthly basis?
I was probably doing 5 or 6 mics a week on average. I mean, I would do maybe 2 or 3 a couple nights. You know, some people give like the slotted mics a bad rap, the fourth wall, the Bert's back room. I loved them.
Okay. Why is that?
I mean, I guess here's the way I looked at it. You could either go to a club and pay for a drink, right? So I'd get my signature ginger ale.
Right.
And, you know, that's the nice places were like, hey, man, it's just soda. You can have that for free. You lightweight. Don't worry about it.
Right.
But other places was like, hey, that glass of soda is $3.
Right.
And here's your ticket, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I could either spend that money and not maybe not get up. Or I could spend $5 and go and just know I'm going to work out 5 minutes of material, not 3 minutes of material, 5 minutes. Or I could spend, you know, $8 and work out 10 minutes of material. But if you want to just work out 10 minutes, you know, I mean, I think the Slotteds held a very valuable spot in just helping us get time to work things out. And sure, you're in front of other comics, but I mean, that's every open mic in LA.
Seth, we kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier. Somewhat, I guess the pandemic has been, you know, a little bit crazy, obviously, for everybody in their own different way. But for you, though, I saw that you were bringing a couple of your shows back, the Bootleg Comedy Show. That's kind of been going on. Tell me about that show.
Yeah, man. So I was doing a clean comedy show. It started out as Next to Godliness, and then I think I changed the title to Clean Up Comedy.
Okay.
And that was what was going on at Skiptown Playhouse. I think you were on the Next to Godliness part. And then I think you came back to when it was at the Bunker.
Yes.
For the Clean Up Comedy spot. Right before the pandemic hit, I was getting a couple of those shows. They were starting to get recorded. We were recording them for Sirius XM.
Okay, got you.
So we got like a handful of comics some money over the pandemic because Sirius XM is playing little bits on the radio.
That's awesome.
So I'm excited to bring it back for the indoor stuff when we can all open up again. Yeah, man. So Bootleg Comedy happened because I over the pandemic, my wife, again, great idea. She was like, hey, man, why don't you just do a drive-in style show?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, that sounds terrifying, but there's
Mm-hmm.
really no other way to perform. We sat down, she and I, we budgeted out, here's what she was like, here's what you could spend on getting an outdoor drive-in show going. So
Mm-hmm.
I did it. I lined up Jesus Trejo to headline the show, and
Nice.
it was going to be a nice, tight set of comedians. It was only going to be like 3 or 4 of us, I think, with Jesus headlining. 2 weeks before the show was going to happen, LA County changed their COVID guidelines
Wow.
to ban live performances at a drive-in show. So
Wow.
you could have a drive-in movie, but you could not have anybody up on a stage performing live.
Wow.
Didn't make any sense to me,
Right.
safety wise. I don't know
Right.
what science they were basing this off of,
Right.
but
Right.
they didn't want it. So
Mm-hmm.
the venue actually canceled. So I had to cancel with Jesus. I had to cancel with all the other comics that had got booked. However, a friend of mine, Bryson Banks, who I'm now
Mm-hmm.
teamed up with to make Bootleg Comedy, the LA
Okay.
chapter,
Mm-hmm.
he reached out to me and was like, "Hey man, I want to do an outdoor show too. I saw that you were doing this drive-in one.
Mm-hmm.
I was curious, like, what happened there? How was it? And I had to tell him this story. It got
Right.
canceled." And he was like, "Well, would you be interested in doing this?" And Bryson is a great comic, great guy. He and I devised kind of a template format that we wanted to do. He really had a pretty set vision on the kind of show that he wanted. He wanted to bring essentially the Comedy Store feel to an
Okay.
outdoor venue, which
Gotcha.
is, good headliners doing 15 minutes for a solid chunk of time.
Nice. Of
We
course.
wanted to give our friends and other comics that we know that are good a chance to hobnob with the major headliners in our area.
Nice.
And that's one thing that I think COVID, the pandemic, has really offered us as comedians in LA in particular. All the clubs shut down,
Right.
which meant there was no more real pipeline, right?
Right.
You have to start from scratch.
Yep.
So there's no club that has a hierarchy of who's doing like what spot. It's now who can even put on a show? Who can even put on a show? He and I thought, hey man, with his connections to the Laugh Factory and some of my financing and connections elsewhere, we could put on a pretty good show.
Nice.
So that's how Bootleg Comedy started up. We're going for the last Saturday of every month right now.
Besides having great talent, what do you feel are some of the keys to a great show?
Yeah, well, this is the easiest one. Comics hanging out after the show. If comics are booking it after the show, it didn't go so great.
Got you. Okay.
If comics want to hang out and talk and chit chat, it went well.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I like that.
So is the host setting a good vibe for everybody to have fun? Okay. That's, I think, one of the keys. The other is, overall, is it a professional show? Does it look professional? Does it sound professional?
Got you.
The final is just the crowd, right? The crowd is its own kind of entity. And the host is there to kind of mediate between the crowd and the comics. And when all of those stars align, you've got a great show. I don't know what it is about like the clean comedy show that I was producing before. And so that people aren't super confused, it's not like there is clean comedy, right? There is like Christian circuit comedy. That is not what I was doing or the show that I was producing. The idea for the show was really about late night. Like, there are so few places where we as comedians can do a late night friendly set and feel like the crowd understands and is supportive of that. Right.
You had a great idea and I really love that show. And I'm going to tell you why.
Yeah. Thank you, man.
Because I agree with you 100%. If you want to work, if you want to be able to stretch yourself, just like we were talking about, making sure you're putting yourself in different venues and different settings and different areas with your comedy, it's the same thing, Seth. If you're going everywhere and you're just running off at the mouth and cursing all the time and doing things, your show was a show that challenged me.
Yeah.
Your show was a show that said, can you still be funny?
Right.
Because a lot of newer comedians, you're going off the cuff. You know, even if
Right.
you're working on your set and you're kind of, you don't really know, like, let me make this curse word, if I'm going to use it, the punchline, as
Right.
opposed to every other word that I'm using. So it
Right.
was always great being
Right.
at your show and seeing some of these really funny people having to be
Yeah.
and then shit, like, oh, and then looking over at Seth, you know what I'm saying? Like, my bad. You know, we were joking around about you being a Mormon. You got the cleanup comedy show, which you transitioned, which was originally the Next to Godliness show. Tell me
Right.
about your faith and kind of how you, I guess, initially started. Obviously, having
Mm.
an interest in knowing that you wanted to do comedy. How did you get from being a person that really has a respect for their faith? Did you immediately set out with, this is the way that I'm going to do my comedy? Or did it kind of take you some time to kind of figure out, hey, how do I step into some of these venues and some of these places where I may be the only person that night that kind of sounds like me?
Part of me knew I have a big aspect of myself that is religious based, that is faith
Mhm,
based.
mhm,
But I didn't want to be labeled as like that guy, you know?
mhm,
So I
mhm.
fought it for a long time. I fought it for
Right.
6 months. I thought I'm going
Yeah.
to talk about everything but my faith on stage.
Yeah.
And you know what, Jaloid? I was just another white guy. That's what happened. I
Mm.
was just another white guy on stage.
Weren't
No
you
one
weren't
remembered
setting
me.
yourself apart.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I had nothing that was setting me apart
Wow.
from the herd.
Hmm.
And then about 6 months in, I finally realized, you know, and I'd had that nagging feeling about, you know, this, if you need to be authentic on stage, this is part of you, and you're not being authentic if you're not talking about it. What happened after that is that I had a shtick, I had a set, you know, I had a
Hmm.
voice that set
Yes.
me apart, and I started
Yeah.
to get noticed by people because it, you know, no one remembers a name
Hmm.
really. I remember
Hmm.
bits, right? And
Yes.
most other comics remember bits. And so then I became the Mormon guy. I'm not truly a racist. I joke
Right.
about racism a lot,
Right.
but I don't know. Maybe I am racist. Who knows?
Right.
Who
No,
knows
no. Listen.
anymore?
Look, he is definitely not. Listen, if you are, you getting kicked out the KKK once they look at all your lineups for your shows. Like, he is a terrible racist. Look at this
He
guy.
is really bad.
Mitchell
Yeah, it's
Lamar, Jaloid Spencer, you need work. Seth, you're actually an inspiration for me. Seth
oh,
Lawrence has a really great podcast by the name of Disorganized Religion. I had an
thank
opportunity
you,
to be
man.
on it. You've interviewed some great guests, and I'd
Yeah.
actually hit Seth up at an inappropriate time, asking him about his editing software. And Seth is like, "It is 2:34 in the morning. What are you doing?"
I was up, baby.
All
I
right,
was
exactly. You
Jaloy.
accidentally
Hey,
sent
I
me a
don't.
shirt with no shirt on. You sent me you butt dial me. You sent me a pic with no shirt on. We're done. We're
Dude,
done.
I do not ignore a you up text from Jaloy Spencer.
Right, right. You know what I'm saying? WYD smiley face. Oh my God, pathetic. I am pathetic.
I love it. I love it.
Great podcast that you got going on. How long have you been doing it? And once again, as a similar kind of thing to your comedy, what
Yeah,
was the motivation behind, hey, let me jump into the podcast game? Because you've been doing yours a little bit longer than some of the other people that I know.
yeah,
Obviously myself, some other people, and you've been grinding it out, man. Tell me about the experience of
yeah.
kind of creating your own podcast.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's again, it was something that I wanted to have as a leveraging chip, you know? I wanted to be able to say, "Hey, I've got a podcast. Why don't you come on my podcast, and then maybe I can be on your podcast."
Absolutely.
The other aspect is my brand. You know, I wanted something that fit with my brand, and the two things that I love talking to people about are comedy and religion.
Yeah.
So that's how Disorganized Religion was born. Part of me wanted to get something out in the world that said, hey, organized religion isn't all bad. Sure,
Hmm.
they did the Crusades, right? And that's terrible.
Right,
But
right, right. Y'all got that. Seth is like, all right, you got that one. Okay,
yeah,
all right.
you got it. All right, fine, fair. and it's kind of a personal self-discovery or discovery of other journey in
Absolutely.
what do you really think about religious people? Like, what do you really think about me as a religious person? Do you really think I'm dumb or ignorant or closed-minded? Do you think I don't love gay people because I'm a religious person? Like, where is this all coming from? I knew that I wanted to talk to comedians because comedians will say the truth about what they feel.
Yes.
They don't have a boss that they are beholden to. We're supposed to speak truth, right? So I knew that I wanted to talk to comedians, and I wanted to know about their journey. So that's stand up is our common place. That's where we know we have stand up in common, or at least a comedic interest in common. And then we can move to religion, which is maybe we disagree. And every episode I try to find places where we agree even on religion, right?
Yeah.
Some sort of spirituality commonality. And what I found is that people who even say like they're atheists, there's no God at all. Well, okay, but we all want what's best for humanity, right? I mean, we all want to be better people. So, finally, do I hate them because they don't believe in God? No. And do they hate me because I do? No. As long as we're being nice, nobody really cares, right? And so that's kind of what I wanted to do with my podcast. And I'm hoping, it gets out there for more and more people to see what it's like to have a difficult or a conversation about a difficult topic in a way that is not threatening, in a way that is open and not judgmental of others. Do I want gay people to be happy? Yeah, I do.
Absolutely.
Do I also believe that gender is important, that gender is definite, that there's not 50 different pronouns we can pick from? Yeah, I do. And, that's at odds with a lot of what people believe in LA and across the country. And I understand that. I respect it. But I think we need to understand one another. And the climate politically, religiously has only gotten worse over these last few years. And I think that's a shame. We're not talking to each other. We're not listening to each other.
Well, and that's so powerful. And what I love, what you're talking about, not only as far as your podcast, Seth, but also just as far as just your daily goings and coming, how you're focused about trying to treat people. Because how am I going to get to know somebody if I don't really talk to them? We may have a similar background. Who knows? Maybe they were part of the faith. Maybe they were part of the faith and they had a situation that has discouraged them or has led them off the course, led them off the track. And I like what you're saying because it's about, and we lose that so much. What is the faith in the church really about?
Right.
What is it really about? We want to be so judgmental and act like we God and be the judge of all these other people when we know we got all these skeletons in our closet. So it's like if you're a believer in Jesus Christ, if you're a believer of the Bible, he counts it all sin.
Yeah.
He counts it all sin. So I can't get mad at you for making a sexual choice when I'm fornicating, I'm stealing at the job. And this was last year for me. Seth. Okay, I can't get mad at somebody when I'm doing this. It's like, who are you? So I like the mentality as far as what you say about having respect both inside and outside of comedy, life period. What do you think are the biggest lessons that you've learned inside and outside of the stage?
Okay, well, I'll take the outside of comedy one first, because this is definitely a lesson that I feel like I have been taught, through the divine many times, which is, what is the Rolling Stones song? I never get what I want, but I get what I need.
Okay.
Do you not know the Rolling Stones?
I don't.
Who's a rapper that says something like that?
I was about to say the Temptations or Lil Boosie Badass.
No, but it's, there are many times when I've gotten, I think I know what I want and I get something else that is better. It's better than what I want, but it's different, And so that's happened many, many times for me, and in fact, I mean, how I met my wife. I was dating a woman and thought I was going to marry her. Took her home to the family. You know, we'd been dating for a while, and you know, she went to a family dinner, and like my family did not like her. It did not go well, that dinner. Okay. And it was in one of those ways where I think she felt like everything was fine, but I knew. I remember I kneeled down in prayer after she and I broke up a couple days later, and I just said, God, I'm done. Heavenly Father, I'm out. I'm out of the dating game. I'm going to take a break. I don't know what. I'm clearly picking the wrong people.
Yeah.
So I'm taking a step back. And I remember saying in my prayer specifically, unless you have someone in mind, I'm not doing anything.
Wow.
2 weeks later, I run into a friend of mine from high school who's going to the same college. And he was like, hey, man, I want to, you know, I want to go out with this girl on a blind date. Like, I need to go out on a blind date. But my deal to go out on the blind date was to set up my friend. So would you be her blind date? I was like, sure, why not? And that's the woman that I ended up marrying.
Wow.
And in stand-up, I think what I've learned is that I do need to take risks. I need to make a decision and take a risk.
Okay.
I've been, you know, I've had a very coddled, protected, privileged, you know, upbringing, life. I haven't really needed to take risks in a way that's, you know, challenging necessarily. I've always kind of had a plan, you know, and that plan is more or less worked out. But when you're up on stage and it's like, hey man, I'm going to make a God joke tonight. Let's see how this one goes, baby. I'm going to make fun of a couple of atheists. Here we go. Let's see what they think. You get big reward, and what's the worst that could happen? They're quiet, you know, and that's pretty devastating on stage. It's pretty devastating. But you learn so much from the bad experiences, you know.
I'm always interested in this. My dad has been with my mother since they've been 16 years old. He met my mom. I think she denied him in like 6th grade, but he stayed persistent, got it together in 9th. Dude. But they have been together, man, for a long time, and they actually still kind of seem to like each other. I got to be honest. I mean, they actually still kind of seem to like each other.
That's
you know,
beautiful.
But for somebody who's not married, who would not mind eventually maybe one day getting married, having some kids running around, how do you feel, man, that is something that you know? Like, this is the person that I'm supposed to be, even if it's maybe not married, be committed, be married. How do you know when you will truly have found the one?
Man, I think there is maybe a misconception about this. I think we've romanticized relationships a lot, you know. I think chick flicks do this. I think, you know, even revenge, you know, kung fu movies do this, where it's like there's a connection and you know you've got it, right? And that's the person. There's some of that. I mean, for sure, I felt sparks when I first met, you know, my wife. That there's no denying that I was attracted to her physically, mentally, like the whole thing, right?
Right.
But as far as like, was she the one? I think she and I proved that to each other all the time, over
But
time.
I mean, but what I mean though, Seth, what made you make the difference? There was something you felt with the other girl as far as being around your family. It was something kind of in your heart that you knew. What made you make the difference? You had dated, you had an opportunity to date other women. What was it for you that was like, no, I don't want to do nothing else?
Right. Oh, I see what you're saying. I think it was, you know, my family really liked her. That was a big aspect for me. Now, of course, we got married and then everything hit the fan.
Really? right.
Dude.
Right. Really?
Dude. Yes.
Really?
There are aspects of my parents that I was like, I didn't know you were like that.
Right.
I didn't know you were like that. I had no idea that's a part of you. I didn't know that. I didn't know
Exactly,
that.
right?
And I think a large part of it, Deloitte, is that I was the oldest, so I was the first to get married, and
Yeah.
so there was a lot of things that
Kind of
my
had to be
parents had to.
unseated. Yeah, deal with.
Yeah, yeah. I upset the club. The club was
Mm-hmm.
now a different club. I don't know if there was any one thing other
Mm.
than just how I felt about her. She was worth it, I guess, is really the thing. She's like way smarter than I am. She's very capable at a
Mm-hmm.
lot of things that I'm not capable at. Like what
Right.
sports did you play growing up, Jaloid?
I ran track and I played basketball.
All right. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
not very good at basketball, but
Okay.
every once in a while I'll put up a tray, right? That's what
Mm-hmm.
you'd
Right,
call it.
right, right,
Uh,
right.
and it feels right. It
Yes,
just it's
absolutely.
going in. It's more of a conscious choice when it came to getting married. I knew
Mm.
that it was going to be work. You're never
Right,
really sure how much work it's going to be.
right.
And there's a lot, at least in the Mormon culture, where you're not living with the other person for a year before you get married. Like you're not
Oh,
living with the other person at all before you get married.
oh, wow. Right,
I got
right.
married as a virgin when I was 24.
Wow.
So it's there's some things that I
A
think.
lot of, we're discovering a lot of things together. We're
Right.
discovering a lot of things out
Yeah.
together. Yeah.
Yeah, which I think is beautiful and actually brings
Yeah.
us together.
Mm-hmm.
If she and I had been, not members of our faith, or if our faith was like, hey, it's fine, sleep around, I
Mm-hmm.
think it would be more difficult. You develop certain habits,
Yeah.
and then it's
Absolutely.
like, well, Cheryl did this, and I don't know why you won't do that. I don't understand
Absolutely.
why you won't do that.
Very true.
So I for us, it was a lot of like a conscious decision. Like I want to be with her. That was the biggest
Mm-hmm.
difference, was that I wanted
Mm.
to be with her.
How do you, man, formulate, I guess, or kind of wrap your mind around raising kids in a city like Los
Uh,
Angeles while you
yeah,
are of the faith that you're of? Like, what do you kind of, because obviously they're not going to be around you all the time.
right.
It's a little bit of a different situation. This is a volatile place in more ways than one.
Sure.
I've heard a lot of people say they wouldn't raise kids in LA.
Right.
How do you go about making sure that your kids are kind of coming up with a mentality that you have, which is you're confident in who you are as a person, but
Yeah.
you're still being able to accept, people of other thoughts.
It's a great question, and we focus a lot with faith. I mean, our
Hmm.
faith is a big part of our identity, and I know a
Yeah.
lot of people will be like, "Oh, you're already brainwashing your kids," and yeah, yep,
Mm-hmm.
we're
Right, right,
brainwashing our kids. I don't know how
right.
else to put it
We
to you.
absolutely are. Right.
I feel like there's brainwashing going on out there. Like they're
Facts.
being brainwashed to think that it's cool, to, I don't know, beat people
Absolutely.
up, or it's cool to do whatever. So we focus on what has brought my wife and I a lot of stability in our identity as children of God, and that's
Hmm.
where we start, right?
Hmm.
Like there's a lot of debate about what's being taught in schools as
Yeah.
far as same-sex attraction,
Right,
and
right,
is
right.
that natural, is it not
Hmm.
natural, is gender a thing,
Right.
is it, how many are there,
Yeah.
right? So we'll have talks at the dinner table. I mean, and also with, I mean, Black Lives Matter, we've
Right.
had to talk to our kids about, hey, here's what it means. I know there's discussions that go on about what it means to be Black in
Yeah.
America. And, we're having the discussion about what it means to be white in America. Here's
Yeah.
the thing,
Yeah.
there's a stigma, and some of it is really justified,
Yeah.
that slavery was a thing for 400 years.
Right.
So we can't avoid that. And you need to understand that other races are discriminated against and have been.
Right.
But we are all children of God, and that was terrible and evil what happened. So we
Yeah.
need to do our best to make sure it's not that way tomorrow.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. With the name of the show, Prayer Water and Cocoa Butter, and I kind of have an idea at least what one of the things may be for you, but Prayer Water and Cocoa Butter is the thing for me, man, that I always remember, that just has
Yeah.
kept me consistently when things were not going the way I thought, when You're not getting the views. You're doing your podcast for 3 years. You're not getting the opportunity at some of the shows, or you're having the great show one night. Then you have a set that it's like, Jesus, what am I even doing? What has kept you, man, on a consistent and faithful and steadfast track as far as what your purpose is and what it is that you're here for?
I feel blessed in the sense that I've had friends that I grew up with who have questioned their faith very seriously. And some of them have left it, others have stayed. But I've never really felt that question in my core. You know, there are aspects about my faith that I'm like, well, I don't know exactly how that works out, or you know, but as far as the gospel of Jesus Christ, the atonement, you know, even the silliest aspect of my faith, this Joseph Smith guy, I've just never been like, that's not real. None of that didn't happen. You know, I believe that Joseph Smith found these gold plates and that he translated them using a hat and magic stones. I believe that happened.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know
why.
Well,
Seth said it is what it is. Right.
But, you know, and that's where I'll be like, but, you know, some people believe in stars.
And I want y'all to know. I want y'all to know he the one that don't drink, y'all. I want to be clear. He the one that don't drink. All right. Y'all heard him. I
don't know who I would be without it. You know, I don't know what I would do without it. And then what keeps me grounded is my family, for sure. I mean, because if I have a great set, inevitably what happens is I come home and my wife is like, well, I hope you had fun. Because it was not fun here.
Oh, what fun around here. Right. So then, baby, they start slapping their knee. And then after that, you done? You done?
Yeah, but they liked me. They liked me out there. I don't understand.
Right.
So it definitely keeps me grounded. And then when I have a bad set, I'll come home and inevitably, you know, my wife or kids will just be like, "You're just the best. You're just the greatest. You're, you know." So it's been, I think my faith, my family, man. That's awesome. That's been the two sort of guiding posts for me.
Obviously having a belief in the afterlife and things like that. What do you want your legacy to be?
What do any of us really leave behind but memories, right? And I think that's really what I would want. I would want I don't know how successful I'll be as a comedian. I don't know how famous I'll be as a comedian or podcaster or actor or whatever else it is I end up trying to do. But you know, if there can be a handful of people that remember me, like me, and to have good things to say, some good memories, some good stories, that I think is the best that I can hope for. If not, I at least want my kids, my wife, to be like, yeah, he was good. He was a good person, and he had, you know, he did these things. Sure, he did this awful stuff, and he was a little bit racist, but he was really a good person.
Really once again, we already been over this. Why you keep bringing it up? Right? We acknowledge that, Jaloid. We acknowledge that. You got to move on. Hey, listen, Seth, this has been a phenomenal conversation, man.
Dude, this has been great. Interview. Jaloid, you are just a class act at everything you do, man. You're so professional, so prepared. I really, man, just such a good time talking to you.
For the people that want to support your show, Seth, or that want to support your podcast, where is the easiest place, and where can people find you online?
Yeah, man. I'd probably do most of my posting on Instagram, so you can find me at Only Seth Lawrence. On Instagram. I do some Twitter, but not much. Twitter is such an unfriendly place these days.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
So I do Instagram. I do some Facebook. You can find me on my Facebook page, which is Seth Lawrence Comedy. I have a YouTube channel, and then my podcast is called Disorganized Religion.
Yes.
You can find that anywhere. My website is SethLawrenceComedy.com. And I have like a shirt, merch that I'm starting out with, which is based on a joke that I tell. So if you haven't heard the joke, you might not like the shirt.
Okay. Okay.
Either way, you can go to that website and find everything that I'm doing on that website. So
That's awesome. That's
Juloid,
awesome.
man,
Yeah, we'll make sure to
you're
post it.
just you're the best, man. You are
I appreciate you,
a
brother.
rare light in our world, and I really appreciate what you do.
But thank you once
Yeah,
again.
man.
Hey, thank
All
you,
right.
Seth.
I love
Appreciate
it,
your
bud.
time, bro.
Look what it do, just telling the truth. Yo, mama getting jiggy, we racing the roof. Do my little dance, get paid in advance. I'm a cheap bastard, but splurging the booth. Look what it do. 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 Look what it do, look baby, who knew? We're like a dog watching dreams come true. Raising at Houston, Cadillacs cruising, South riding red in the North Candy blue. Baby, I'm blessed, no sneeze or high shoe. Been dating a little Asian, roll her haiku. I like them thick, but I'm more concerned if you loyal, cause you need your heart to be true. Not a Boy Scout, but staying prepared, not a piece of meat. Have some respect when you stare. Do what I do, keep everything moving. They want an electric all up in my chair. I'm off the chain with no leash. Top 5, and that's just at least. Could've told, but no, I'll never speak. Roundhog flow got this bitch on repeat. Look what it do, just telling the truth. Yo, mama getting jiggy, we racing the roof. Do my little dance, get paid in advance. I'm a cheap bastard, but splurging the booth. Look what it do. 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 No ma'am, I don't sip codeine, but this kush so call it bedtime. Had epiphany that it was in me the whole time. Ain't here to flex it all, man. Little shit, look, let me quit. This what it do, but you already knew. Hot as a Cheeto and cold as the flu. She digging your boy. She fucking with you. Researching myself. Can't trust all the news. This slapping like violence. I need me a ride. Ain't into withdrawals. I'm making deposits. You do what you can and I do what I wish. This ain't no luck, look, I'm blessing a bitch. Fuck your little money, my family, they love me. My health doing better, I'm already rich. Work for yourself, don't dig your own ditch. No time for doubts, gotta know that you it. This what we doing, this magic we brewing. Look what it do, just telling the truth. Yo, mama getting jiggy, we racing the roof. Do my little dance, get paid in advance. I'm a cheap bastard, but splurging the booth.